Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. The Perfect Storm. If you saw back, I did an episode a long time ago about my favorite fishing movies, and The Perfect Storm was one of my favorite fishing movies of all time. And I think the NPFL has timed it right to where they have found the perfect combination. And in this case, it's not going to result in a bunch of fishermen dying in an oceanic storm, but it could end up in the NPFL really being poised for success in 2025. Let me explain what I'm talking about when we come back. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. So let's talk about what the NPFL has done. And I'm not saying they did it intentionally, but boy, they've kind of had just a sequence of different decisions that have timed out right with decisions that other organizations have made that have just worked out, in my opinion, perfectly for the NPFL. So if you go back, we first had the situation where the three different tournament organizations made decisions about what they were doing with forward-facing sonar. Bass said, hey, we're pretty much not doing anything with it. NPFL came out and said, we're banning it completely. And the MLF leagues, whether it be the invitationals or the BPT, said, hey, we're going to use it sometimes and other times we're not. And we've got, kind of a in-between kind of area. Well, the NPFL coming out and saying we're banning it, it was a stance. That was a stance that said, hey, we're gonna take a different stance. Now, you put in addition to that, the fact that Bass came out and on their own, without anybody else knowing about it, not even their anglers at first, said we're going to drop the entry fees. Okay, so now when we know how that went, they dropped the entry fees, a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, a lot of complaining, and so now they're gonna have some entry fees in. But what it did was it allowed a lot of elite anglers to say, well, listen, if I'm not paying as much in entry fees to go fish the elites, and since NPFL put out their schedule intentionally so that it didn't conflict with any of the elite tournaments, elite anglers can choose to fish both circuits, the Bass Elites and the NPFL. They've always had a few guys like Patrick Walters and guys like that have fished both, but now all of a sudden they've got a ton of guys. And you've got a ton of guys, and we've talked about this in other episodes, whether it's Jason Christie or Gerald Swindle or just a ton of the other guys that are elite anglers that are kind of older elite anglers that aren't really necessarily, super happy about having their money being taken by guys that are solely fishing forward facing. And these guys are jumping into the NPFL. But why are they doing it? They're doing it because the sponsor money that they were getting for the elites that they don't have to pay for entry fees, they can now use to fish the NPFL. So they've got a place to stay relevant and fish. And the NPFL announced that they've got 118 anglers this year for 2025. So 118 anglers, that's very close to the field that they wanted. Originally, they had said they wanted 130 anglers. They've got 118, and they decided at that point to close the field or cut the field. So fishing 2025 with 118 anglers, and the list of anglers that they have is amazing. I'm just going to go through some of these names. Todd Otten, Tommy Biffle, Zach Burge, Scott Canterbury, Hank Cherry, Jason Christie, Brandon Cobb, Drew Cook, John Cox, Matt Herron, James Watson, Buddy Gross, Bill Lowen, Shane LaHue, like I said, Patrick Walters, Gerald Swindle. I mean, these are big names, household names in the fishing industry, and so many of these guys are elite anglers that are coming over and fishing the NPFL, and it's just this combination of events. The decision to not use forward-facing sonar, the fact that Bassmaster reduced the entry fees that allowed these guys to spend their money somewhere else. All of these decisions, not just decisions that NPFL made, but that other people made or that other places made, along with the anglers saying, hey, we want to be able to get into this. It's just amazing how decisions that a lot of different organizations and people made ended up putting it into a situation that works so well. And you combine that with the fact that the NPFL is working diligently on developing a new platform that they're going to be streaming their tournaments on, where it won't be that old clunky kind of fixed TV that a lot of people had complaints about, myself included, where it's just shaping up to be a very, very positive potential. And I say the word potential because if they do it and they do it right, they can really, really make this they can grow leaps and bounds. You put another situation like they had with the tournament director on the last event, that's not going to get that. They're going to be in more of a spotlight, and those kinds of things could absolutely hurt them when there's more of a light there to where they can't just kind of push it under the rug and hope that nobody really cares about it. But if they do the right thing and they act the right way and they keep the product that they have, that a lot of guys talk about being very, very positive, this is a very, very unique situation, and one that I love sitting back and watching, and just, I feel like the weatherman on a perfect storm where he's going, oh my God, this is happening in this situation. And this is that. It could be, it might be. It's really going to be fun to watch. And I know for myself, I'm going to be watching it and paying attention to what they do. I'd love to hear your comments about it. I'm guessing that a lot of you feel the same way I do, that there is one positive kind of shining hope here in bass fishing, professional bass fishing, and right now the NPFL is it. Let me know what you guys think. I'd appreciate it. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care, everybody.